Yao Xixue pondered for a moment, then casually waved her right hand in front of her body. In an instant, her previously bare figure was concealed by a white robe, hidden within a surge of radiant mist. As time passed, within the black armor barracks, Wang Lin's meditation continued without interruption. After absorbing the demon power from 500 demon soldiers and the demon power from Battalion Commander Sun, his internal demon crystal fused and reached nearly 1,000 armor units. With nearly 1,000 armor units of demon crystal, his absorption and expulsion of the local demonic energy was several times faster than before. Wang Lin paid no attention to the events within the barracks. He made use of every moment to absorb demon power, preparing for the breakthrough to the late infant metamorphosis stage. One day, as Wang Lin was meditating, he suddenly opened his eyes, his expression shifting slightly. Daoist Wang, at the third watch tonight, 1,000 miles from the barracks, atop Drum Mountain, Yao Xixue is waiting. Yao Xixue's voice echoed in Wang Lin's divine sense, like a wisp of smoke drifting through his mind. Wang Lin furrowed his brow, then closed his eyes again, returning to his meditation. At the third watch, far from the barracks on Drum Mountain, Yao Xixue stood atop the mountain, dressed in white, waiting in silence. As time passed, with the first light of dawn beginning to show, Wang Lin still had not appeared. Yao Xixue's face grew cold, and with a snort, her body transformed into a streak of white light, heading directly for the military camp. She quickly reached the outskirts of the camp, and with a flash, she instantly teleported inside. The camp's formation had no effect on her, as she was also one of the commanders. Upon entering the camp, she immediately attracted the attention of all the demon soldiers in the 100-li square, as many of them were undergoing formation training under their commanders. Yao Xixue moved swiftly toward the tower where Wang Lin was. Outside the tower, Shursan suddenly opened his eyes and stood up, looking coldly toward the approaching Yao Xixue. "Stop, intruder!" Shursan shouted. Yao Xixue's expression remained frosty as she snorted. Not only did she not stop, but her speed increased, and she continued her advance toward the tower. At the same time, several of the battalion commanders on the square reacted without hesitation, their bodies moving like lightning as they charged toward the tower. Behind them, numerous demon soldiers released their demon energy and followed in pursuit. As Yao Xixue drew near, Shursan let out a fierce shout. Stepping forward, he clenched his right fist and threw a punch. Without even glancing at Shursan, Yao Xixue extended her right hand and flicked her fingers. A blood-red light flashed, enveloping Shursan's body, as though she had wrapped him in a blood robe. Shursan froze mid-step, his body becoming as still as a statue. Just below the tower, Yao Xixue was about to enter when suddenly, 9,000 demon soldiers on the square rushed forward, like a stampede. A few of the battalion commanders shouted, "Commander Yao, please stop." Yao Xixue's eyes gleamed with murderous intent. With a sweep of her jade hand, a surge of blood-red light erupted, instantly covering a 100-meter radius. The demon soldiers outside the bloodlight were stopped dead in their tracks, unable to enter. "I have personal matters to discuss with Commander Wang. You need not interfere," Yao Xixue said coldly as she walked toward the tower. The moment she stepped into the tower, a gentle breeze flowed out from within. The breeze blew across her, causing her face to change slightly. Her entire body flickered with blood light, which gradually faded after the wind passed. Shursan's body, too, was touched by the breeze, causing him to tremble. He regained his mobility, and in his ear, Wang Lin's voice echoed. Hearing the secret words from Wang Lin, Shursan did not even spare Yao Xixue a glance. He sat cross-legged in silence, ignoring her presence. "Daoist Yao, you have quite the temper." Wang Lin's voice floated from within the tower, devoid of any trace of emotion. Yao Xixue's face remained icy. With a cold hum, she replied, "Yao's temper is nothing compared to Daoist Wang's arrogance." She then took 3 steps forward, pushed open the door of the tower, and entered. Inside the tower, the windows were sealed, and it was pitch black. The moment the door opened, bright sunlight streamed in, casting a shadow on the ground. Wang Lin sat cross-legged in the shadow at the far end of the room, his expression unclear. "Once you enter here, if you do not have something that can move me, Do not blame me for being unsympathetic. Wang Lin's voice was chilling. He had been in the midst of an important stage of cultivation, intending to meditate quietly for several months to refine his demon power and break through to the late infant metamorphosis stage. Now, his seclusion had been interrupted by an uninvited guest, and naturally, he did not feel inclined to treat her kindly. I summoned you to meet me at Top Drum Mountain at the third watch. Why did you not come? Yao Xixue asked coldly. Why should I go? Wang Lin raised an eyebrow. He had only met her twice before, and even this time made it 3. Yao Xixue froze. She had been filled with anger and had gone to find him. But Wang Lin's question left her speechless. After a brief silence, Yao Xixue slightly bowed and softly said, This matter was my fault, Taoist Wang. Please do not take offense. It's just that I need your help with something. So I took the liberty to come. What is it? Wang Lin said briefly, unwilling to engage in much conversation with this person. At this moment, he was in the critical stage of refining his demon power. Yao Xixue pointed backwards into the air with her right hand. Instantly, the door of the attic closed automatically, and a blood-colored light enveloped the entire building. This matter is highly secretive, so I must take precautions. I hope you don't mind, Taoist Wang. At this moment, Yao Xixue had a request, so she suppressed her temper. No problem. Wang Lin responded flatly. There is a formation restriction that I cannot break alone due to my limited strength. I wish to seek your help, Taoist Wang. Once the formation is broken, I will definitely reward you generously. Yao Xixue pondered for a moment before speaking. Wang Lin fell silent for a while, then said slowly, At this moment, I have urgent matters to attend to, and I cannot assist in breaking the restriction. I hope Taoist Yao understands. Not only did he truly not have time, but even if he did, he wouldn't easily agree. After all, he had no connection with this person, and given that she, with her cultivation, couldn't break the restriction, Wang Lin didn't think he could be of help either. Moreover, the most important thing was that this person was not entirely truthful. Clearly, she was concealing a lot of details, and because of this, Wang Lin was even less inclined to help. He had no obligation to do so. Before seeking Wang Lin's help, Yao Xixue had already anticipated that he would not agree readily. At this moment, she wasn't discouraged and said, Taoist Wang's cultivation is at the mid-infant metamorphosis stage. To reach the late stage, you will need a large amount of immortal jade. If you aim for the peak, the amount of immortal jade required is unimaginable. That is secondary. In this land of demonic spirits, you will need to keep a considerable amount of immortal jade for regular consumption over the course of 500 years. Given this, immortal jade must be a necessity for you. I wonder if you have enough? If not, I can provide it. Wang Lin opened his eyes. In the dim corner where he sat, 2 bright rays of light flickered like the moon. He glanced at Yao Xixue and said slowly, How much can you provide? Yao Xixue smiled brightly. She wasn't afraid that Wang Lin would demand an outrageous amount. She only feared that he wouldn't be moved. Since he had asked, she was confident she could satisfy him. I can provide you with enough immortal jade to reach the early stage of peak cultivation, Yao Xixue said calmly. Wang Lin's gaze flickered. Yao Xixue's words indeed tempted him. If not for his current shortage of immortal jade, he could have already reached the late infant metamorphosis stage, without having to absorb the demon power he had painstakingly collected. As she said, though Wang Lin's current immortal jade would be enough to reach the late infant metamorphosis stage, once it was all used up, and in the next 500 years, if he were injured or his immortal power depleted, without immortal jade to replenish it, he would be at a disadvantage. This was something he had considered before. That was why he had not yet absorbed the immortal power within the immortal jade, but instead focused on accumulating and fusing the demon power. He had kept the immortal jade for the end. In fact, Wang Lin had already made up his mind. Once he reached the late infant metamorphosis stage and then further advanced to the great perfection, he would take his demon soldiers and raid all the cultivators he encountered, collecting more immortal jade. So what will it be? Taoist Wang, if you agree, I can give you the immortal jade you need to reach the late infant metamorphosis stage, and once you return, I will immediately provide the rest. Yao Xixue quickly added. Wang Lin pondered for a long while, and then said, What kind of formation restriction is it? The name of the formation is unknown to me, But once this formation is activated, the Wheel of Reincarnation method will appear, containing 18 sealing restrictions. I have only managed to break the 11th one. If you assist me, I believe we can break them all, Yao Xixue said. Most of what she said was true, but there was one thing she didn't mention. While she didn't know the name of the formation, she did know that once the formation was broken, it would be a matter of life or death. Succeeding would mean survival, but failure would mean death. She had failed 4 times, and each time she died, wasting 4 extremely precious blood soul pills that her father, the Blood Ancestor, had barely obtained after risking his life. There were only 13 such pills, and most of them were in Yao Xixue's possession. Wang Lin was silent for a long while, his gaze fixed. Where is this formation located? Yao Xixue thought for a moment before replying. Before Taoist Wang agrees, it is inconvenient for me to say much. What I can tell you is that this formation requires a special treasure to enter. Currently, in this land of demonic spirits, besides me, no one else should be able to enter. What she said must be hiding a lot of information, but immortal jade is extremely important to me. If I have enough immortal jade, I am confident I can reach the late infant metamorphosis stage in a short time. Although the peak cultivation requires more than just immortal jade, it also demands an understanding of the heavenly Tao. Having the immortal jade removes any concerns. However, I cannot agree easily. I need to see where her bottom line is. Wang Lin thought for a while and shook his head. This matter requires some consideration. For months later, I will give you my answer. At this moment, Wang Lin was continuously deflecting her, making Yao Xixue feel a bit impatient inside. However, without this person's help, she would have to wait until after achieving the Great Tao to break the restriction. While she did not lack immortal jade for the process, her understanding of the heavenly Tao had made no progress. The time required to comprehend the Tao could vary greatly, and no one knew when it would finally become clear. Moreover, this matter could not be known to the original inhabitants of this place, as it would undoubtedly trigger a catastrophe. After much thought, she realized that only Wang Lin was the most suitable candidate. Especially after witnessing his battle with the demon general after his fall into demonic possession, she was even more certain that with his help, the remaining restriction seals could certainly be broken. Yao Xixue glanced at Wang Lin, paused for a moment, and with her sharp mind, she began to understand his earlier words. The past 4 months were merely his way of securing more leverage for his revenge. A trace of disdain flashed in her heart, and her tone naturally turned cold as she spoke. What else do you want? More immortal jade? Magic artifacts? Cultivation techniques? Wang Lin showed no sign of being bothered by her tone. He responded calmly, I don't lack magic artifacts or cultivation techniques. If you can exchange them for more immortal jade, that would be best. Yao Xixue's disdain grew stronger. She said, Immortal jade, my father, the Blood Ancestor, has plenty in his cave mansion. I'll give you a blood talisman token, and once we leave this land of demonic spirits, you can retrieve it yourself. Wang Lin nodded. All right, but this matter is fraught with danger. I need to consider it further. Yao Xixue's expression immediately turned icy, and she said coldly, How long do you need to consider? 3 months, Wang Lin replied indifferently. You. Yao Xixue's anger flared. She flicked her sleeve, and the door to the attic immediately opened. She turned and walked out with an expression of frosty disdain. No need to see me off, Wang Lin said calmly. Yao Xixue had 1 foot outside the attic, but after taking a few deep breaths, she clenched her teeth and pulled out a wax pill from her storage pouch. She turned around, her eyes cold, and said, Take this. In 3 days, meet me at Drum Mountain. If you still refuse, this matter is over. Wang Lin's gaze focused on the wax pill in her hand. It appeared completely ordinary, with nothing unusual about it. However, as he stared at it, he immediately noticed the intricate array of symbols engraved on the wax. These symbols flickered in an eerie rhythm that matched the exact frequency of Yao Xixue's breathing and heartbeat. What is this? Wang Lin asked in a low voice. Yao Xixue's eyes revealed blatant contempt as she spoke. You don't even know what this is? No wonder. You've only just become a disciple of Tian Yunzi. This is something my father, the Blood Ancestor, created himself, called the Blood Soul Pill. Blood Soul Pill. Wang Lin had never heard of this pill before, yet his expression remained unchanged. What he did not know was that if any other cultivators from Tian Yunzi's sect had heard of this pill, they would surely go mad. The value of this pill was immeasurable. This pill is called Blood Soul. It is not to be ingested, but rather to leave behind the essence, spirit, and blood imprint. They are bound together, and even if your essence spirit is destroyed, you can be reborn once. To be precise, it replaces death itself. Yao Xixue's voice was as cold as ice. Wang Lin's expression finally shifted. He reached out with his right hand, and the wax pill immediately detached from Yao Xixue's hand and fell into his own. Yao Xixue had long expected this reaction, so she did not stop him. She watched as he took the pill with a cold smile in her heart. Though this pill was indeed a blood soul pill, it was a useless one. It was a version her father created in order to prevent anyone else from stealing it. It contained blue blood, but that blood was tainted with impurities and toxins. Only she and her father could distinguish the pill's authenticity. This way, no one would dare to steal it. If someone were to place their hope in this fake pill, they would essentially be throwing away half their life. Holding the wax pill, Wang Lin immediately felt a strange sensation as the symbols on it began to pulse in sync with his own heartbeat. Clearly, whoever held this pill would have a different frequency depending on their bloodline. Holding it, Wang Lin felt as though his blood had merged with it, as if it was a part of his body. The sensation was incredibly strong. Wang Lin took a deep breath, glanced at Yao Xixue, and said in a low voice, "Immortal Jade, give it to me." Yao Xixue did not hesitate. She took out a storage pouch and tossed it forward, saying, "This is enough Immortal Jade to help you reach the late infant metamorphosis stage. As for the rest, I'll give it to you when we return. In 3 days, at the third moment of Purple Demon Ascendance, meet me at Drum Mountain." Wang Lin remained silent. After a while, he slowly replied, "Agreed." Yao Xixue smiled brightly, turned, and left. She was not worried that Wang Lin would renege after taking the items. She didn't care about the Immortal Jade, and as for the pill, she was unconcerned. Wang Lin's gaze followed her until her figure disappeared far in the distance. Only then did he withdraw his gaze, his expression one of deep contemplation. This woman is quite carefree. She isn't even afraid that I might change my mind. But those who act with such freedom must have a reason behind it. It's likely that she doesn't care at all for the Immortal Jade. When she offers such a large amount of it, it's clear that her father, the Blood Ancestor, must possess an abundance of it. However, the Blood Soul pill is somewhat suspicious. If this pill truly has the effect she claims, there wouldn't be many of them in circulation. It should be an extremely rare item, perhaps even comparable to genuine immortal arts. To get me to help, she's willing to give one away. If I were her, even if I did give it away, I would make sure to tamper with it. A cold smile appeared at the corner of Wang Lin's mouth as he muttered to himself, "Yao Xixue, if you weren't so carefree, I'd only be suspicious at most. But now, I'm sure of it, there's something wrong with this Blood Soul pill." His gaze flashed, and with a wave of his left hand, he reached into his storage pouch. Instantly, a simple soul banner appeared in his grasp. With a flick, Wang Lin shouted, "Chao Ito." The soul banner immediately released a black mist, which spread out and swirled, eventually forming into a figure. The figure was none other than Chao Ito, the guide Wang Lin had found for himself on Vermilion Bird Star. Chao Ito immediately knelt on the ground and respectfully said, "Greetings, Master." Wang Lin didn't waste time with pleasantries and directly asked, "Do you know of the Blood Ancestor?" At the mention of the Blood Ancestor, Chao Ito's expression immediately changed. After a long pause, he finally regained his composure and hurriedly said, "I know him. The reputation of the Blood Ancestor is known by every cultivator on Tianyun Star. It is said that he challenged Tian Yunzi 7 times in his life. Though he failed every time, his cultivation grew stronger with each attempt. There's also a rumor that he ranks 3rd on Tianyun Star, just below Tian Yunzi and Ling Tianho. While this is only a rumor, it shows just how high his cultivation must be." Wang Lin pondered for a moment and then asked, "What about the Blood Soul pill? Have you heard of it?" "The Blood Soul pill?" Chao Ito immediately became agitated. Wang Lin had never seen him so excited before, not even when Wang Lin promised him a body in the infant metamorphosis stage. Master, the Blood Soul Pill is one of the top 3 treasures on Tianyuan Star. This pill has the ability to defy the heavens and change fate. It can bring a cultivator back to life. This item is the Blood Ancestor's exclusive treasure. No one knows how he came by it. Xiao Ito spoke rapidly, his voice tinged with excitement. Wang Lin opened his right hand, revealing a wax pill with strange runes flickering on its surface. Do you recognize this? Xiao Ito was stunned for a moment. He stared intently at the wax pill, and, after a brief pause, his expression changed dramatically. He murmured, wrapped in white lizard beast wax, with 3,614 runes inscribed on it. The frequency of the pulse of the person who touches it flickers, and holding it feels like a connection with flesh and blood. Master, is this correct? Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged as he nodded. Xiao Ito tried to suppress his excitement and immediately said, Master, please drop blood on it. Wang Lin hesitated for a moment, bit his fingertip, and squeezed a drop of blood onto the wax pill. The moment the blood fell, a blue light burst from the pill and lasted for 3 breaths before vanishing. The white lizard wax's runes flicker, and when the blood touches it, a blue mark appears. Yes, this is indeed the Blood Soul Pill. Xiao Ito stared intently at the wax pill, his eyes filled with intense greed. Wang Lin's expression darkened as he looked at the pill. Slowly, he said, Xiao Ito, with your cultivation, what was your status in the sect on Tianyuan Star? Xiao Ito seemed not to hear Wang Lin's words. His entire focus was on the Blood Soul Pill. This pill was of great importance to him. He vaguely remembered that, according to rumors, if a soul body consumed the Blood Soul Pill, it could even regrow a new physical form. Seeing Xiao Ito's behavior, Wang Lin frowned and coldly snorted. His voice echoed in Xiao Ito's soul, and it was as though cold water had been poured over his head, immediately sobering him up. Upon hearing Wang Lin's question, Xiao Ito froze and then bitterly smiled. My status wasn't high. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been sent to Vermilion Birdstar by the Corpsine sect to seize another's body. Wang Lin's gaze flashed again, and he asked, since your status wasn't high, how do you know so much about the Blood Soul Pill and its methods of identification? You even know exactly how to distinguish its authenticity. Xiao Ito froze once more and then sighed. Master, the method of identifying the Blood Soul Pill is well known throughout Tianyuan Star. It's not a secret at all. Wang Lin nodded and, with a wave of the soul banner, returned Xiao Ito to the banner. He stared at the Blood Soul Pill in his hand, his expression growing even darker. Since this pill is so precious, why would the method of identification be so widely known, and why does it seem so accurate? This must be the scheme of someone with ulterior motives. The Blood Ancestor is indeed a cunning old monster. With a single move, he resolved the crisis of possessing such a precious treasure. If I were him, I would do the same. Wang Lin squeezed the wax pill in his hand, his eyes clear and determined. With that, Wang Lin immediately concluded that everything was part of the Blood Ancestor's scheme. With Yao Xixue's carefree demeanor and Xiao Ito's response, I can be certain that the Blood Soul Pill comes in both true and false forms. However, the distinction between them is likely known only to the Blood Ancestor and his daughter. No one else, it seems, has this knowledge. A flash of wisdom gleamed in Wang Lin's eyes. This pill is a fake. The true one can bring a person back to life, while the false one should lead to death. Yao Xixue, since you are so ruthless, don't blame me for being heartless. Wang Lin glanced at the wax pill in his hand, ready to crush it, but a thought struck him, and he instead placed it in his storage pouch. Having practiced cultivation for centuries, Wang Lin's survival and powerful abilities are deeply tied to his cunning. When he was still in the core formation stage, the 8 Extremities Demon Lord once said of him that he was ruthless, audacious, decisive, cold-hearted, yet also bold, calculating, and sharp as a fox. Such words exposed the true nature of Wang Lin's heart. Just from Yao Xixue's expression and Xiao Ito's casual words, Wang Lin was able to deduce the truth, something even the most ancient cultivators rarely manage. Only those who had cultivated for millennia and had almost transcended to a higher state of being, able to see through all human hearts, could discern such things with a mere glance. It was similar to when Wang Lin, on the Vermilion Bird Star, used the differing personalities of his two female disciples to see through the true nature of Lu Mei's illusory heartless path. Although heaven didn't bestow upon Wang Lin the most perfect cultivation talent, time and hardship had granted him a wisdom born of experience, a mind honed by years of trials. This wisdom was the product of both cause and effect, and it aligned perfectly with the balance of heaven's will. With a wave of his right hand, Wang Lin summoned Yao Xixue's storage pouch, which flew into his grasp. His divine sense scanned its contents, and as expected, the immortal jade inside was enough for him to reach the late infant metamorphosis stage. 3 days. Wang Lin took a deep breath, pressed his left hand to the ground, and in a flash of black light, he instantly burrowed into the earth, vanishing without a trace. Deep underground, Wang Lin sat cross-legged with his eyes shut. All around him were the immortal jades from Yao Xixue's storage pouch. He greedily absorbed the energy, which transformed into dust-like fragments of jade. At the late infant metamorphosis stage, the required amount of immortal jade was massive. Wang Lin didn't stop for even a moment. He focused entirely on absorbing the immortal energy. This energy entered his body, and rather than integrating it, he stored it in the structure of the demon crystals he'd studied for years. He had spent much time studying demon crystals in the soul refining tribe and was intimately familiar with their structure. Since demon power could crystallize, it made sense that immortal power could do the same. Previously, he had hesitated to waste immortal jades on this experiment, but now that there was enough, he pushed ahead. As the energy accumulated, a transformation began. After continuous condensation, a crystal identical to a demon crystal but imbued with immortal power formed within his body. This immortal crystal contained an amount of immortal energy equivalent to 1/10 of the immortal jades in Yao Xixue's storage pouch. The absorption continued. 3 days later, as the purple demon ascendance ceremony took place, on the Drum Mountain 1,000 miles away from the military camp, Yao Xixue stood suddenly. The sky above was tinged with purple as the moonlight fell to the ground, exuding an eerie, demonic aura. Yao Xixue's gaze occasionally shifted toward the distance, her eyes showing signs of anxiety. Time is nearly up. Could it be that this person is truly backing out? Yao Xixue furrowed her brow in worry. Just then, a long rainbow streaked across the sky, moving as fast as lightning. Yao Xixue's eyes lit up as the rainbow, seemingly traveling in an instant, arrived at her location. It paused briefly before landing on the mountaintop and transforming into Wang Lin. Dressed in white, like Yao Xixue, Wang Lin's hair fluttered in the wind, giving him a refined, ethereal appearance. You arrived just in time. Now, I must activate the formation to prevent anyone from noticing anything unusual here, Yao Xixue said as she tapped her storage pouch, bringing out several small blood-colored statues. These statues were about 3 inches tall, each one carved with hideous beasts Wang Lin had never seen before. A faint blood aura radiated from them. Yao Xixue formed a series of hand seals, muttered a chant, and then bit her tongue. She drew a symbol in the air, which expanded into a massive symbol of 100 feet, landing on the ground of Drum Mountain. Simultaneously, the statues moved on their own, each occupying one of 7 points around the area. As bloodlight flickered, they merged into the ground. The moment the statues integrated into the earth, a strange force surged through Drum Mountain. Wang Lin observed closely and realized the symbol was merely a conduit, while the true power lay in the 7 statues. This force was invisible, and without being within 100 feet, Wang Lin wouldn't have sensed it. He spread his divine sense, only to be startled by the fact that he couldn't even see himself. This phenomenon, for Wang Lin, who had spent his entire life cultivating, was a first encounter. It was as though his divine sense was like an external thought, something he could control, yet no matter what he did, he could not find his own reflection atop Drum Mountain. This scene was like a mortal looking into a mirror, seeing everything within, but unable to see their own reflection. Stop trying, Yao Xixue said coldly. This formation can only be detected by someone with the cultivation of a demon commander. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense, deeply impressed by this formation. He asked, "Did your father, the Blood Ancestor, create this formation?" "That's right," Yao Xixue replied, brushing her hand over her storage pouch. Immediately, a blood-red compass appeared in her hand. After adjusting its direction, she placed it on the ground and turned to Wang Lin, saying, "Remember our agreement. When the purple demon ascendance reaches its peak, the compass will emit blood light for only an instant. You must follow me closely then." Wang Lin nodded silently. Yao Xixue hesitated for a moment before adding, "When we return, I will give you the remaining Immortal Jade and the Blood Mansion token. I'll also teach you the correct way to use the Blood Soul Pill." At that moment, the purple aura in the sky intensified, resembling a celestial eclipse, as if the sky itself were being devoured. The purple light quickly spread, enveloping the entire land. Above and below, everything turned purple. At the same time, the compass on the ground flared with intense blood light. Under the purple aura, it was like a sword piercing through the purple, small yet extremely resilient. "Go!" Yao Xixue cried out, her figure immediately stepping forward and merging into the blood light. Wang Lin's gaze flashed coldly, his body moving like lightning as he followed closely behind, entering the blood light. As the two entered, the blood light dissipated, along with the compass, which vanished without a trace. On the ground, the purple aura slowly receded, eventually disappearing entirely into the demon moon. The purple demon ascendance, which occurred once every 6 months, had passed once again. Wang Lin had experienced teleportation arrays countless times and had developed a strong resistance to their discomfort. The moment he entered the blood light, he immediately realized that this was a point-to-point teleportation formation. This meant that the location Yao Xixue had mentioned had already been prearranged as a teleportation point. By activating this point, one could enter from any place. However, it was clear that the teleportation could only succeed within the land of demonic spirits. After a brief period of discomfort from the teleportation, Wang Lin saw blood traces swirling rapidly beneath his feet, forming a formation. Yao Xixue recovered half a breath later than Wang Lin, and by the time she recovered, the blood traces under her feet had already vanished. The path of this formation is similar to that of the statue array. It must have been created by the same person. The Blood Ancestor is indeed extraordinary to have been able to set up a teleportation formation here. But if I had time, I could set up one as well. Wang Lin commented casually, surveying his surroundings. This place resembled a starry sky with no distinction between heaven and earth. Only brilliant starlight shone, and under this glow, the surroundings were clear and visible. A winding path, about 10 yards wide, stretched into the distance. There was no ground here. The path floated in the starry sky, moving rhythmically from side to side. Wang Lin stood on a platform about 100 yards in size, and the formation was hidden within the carvings on the platform. From Wang Lin's perspective, it was obvious that Yao Xixue had been here many times before. She sat cross-legged on the platform and said to him, "Focus and meditate. Feel your own state of mind and obtain the qualification imprint before you can step onto the path of the sacred beast." With that, she closed her eyes and began to meditate. Wang Lin scanned the surroundings and walked forward. As he approached the distant, ethereal path, he stopped and focused his gaze. The moment he did, his pupils contracted. This was no ordinary path. It was clearly the body of a giant beast, like a coiled dragon. Recalling Yao Xixue's words, he deduced that this beast was the sacred beast. This beast is not recorded in ancient God 2C's memories. If he doesn't know about it, it must have appeared after him. What kind of place is this that harbors such a colossal creature? Wang Lin inhaled sharply, his gaze flashing as he pondered. After a moment, he turned and looked back at Yao Xixue, silently thinking, "I need to find a way to learn everything about this place from her." He sat cross-legged on the platform, calming his mind. Just as he was about to immerse himself in his state of mind, a sudden thought flashed through his mind like a bolt of lightning. The cycle of life and death. Long before Wang Lin entered the land of demonic spirits, he had already reached the level of intent embodiment. At this moment, his mind and spirit were immersed in this profound state. As if his left hand represented life, his right hand represented death, and flowing between them was the unchanging river of time. Although immersed in this state of mind, Wang Lin remained ever watchful. A thread of his awareness circled his body, ready to detect any movement from Yao Xixue at the first sign. Wang Lin was deep and calculating. He could split his attention, and Yao Xixue, naturally, would think of that as well. Therefore, now was not the time to act. While meditating and contemplating, the faint shadow of the scroll of life and death began to subtly appear within Wang Lin's body. As his understanding deepened, Wang Lin gradually entered a transcendent state, where everything around him became vividly clear in his mind. In the midst of this, he sensed a mysterious force descending from the sky, gathering upon the platform. This force quietly and silently formed, swirling around Yao Xixue, rotating around her body. Wang Lin's mind stirred, and he immediately focused all his attention on the mysterious force. As it spiraled, it suddenly condensed toward the center of Yao Xixue's forehead. In that instant, a golden light flashed at her brow. After 3 breaths, the golden light faded, and Yao Xixue opened her eyes. In her pupils, golden symbols flickered. These symbols consisted of 3 strokes, complex yet traceable. Yao Xixue's gaze now contained these golden symbols. When Wang Lin met her eyes, his heart shook violently, as if lightning had struck his soul, like the sound of spring thunder exploding in his ears. He felt as if he were facing Tuasun again. In that moment, it was as though Yao Xixue was no longer the mid-stage infant metamorphosis cultivator she had been, but had transformed into the supreme immortal venerable, an unstoppable force beyond his ability to resist. The sensation was overwhelming, like a giant wave crashing against his mind. Even Tian Yunzi had never caused such a profound disturbance within him. Wang Lin's heart trembled, but his Dao heart was firm. He quickly recognized the difference. It wasn't Yao Xixue herself emanating this immense pressure, but the golden symbols in her eyes. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin forcibly suppressed his emotions. He chose not to focus on her, but to silently contemplate the Dao. He clearly remembered that Yao Xixue's eyes had held no symbols earlier. Clearly, everything was linked to the mysterious power that had silently appeared moments ago. Yao Xixue opened her eyes for a brief moment before closing them again, resuming her silent meditation. Wang Lin immersed himself in the Tao of life and death, recalling past scenes. He understood life and death, realizing what life was and what death meant. He unfurled the scroll of life and death, and the profound realization filled his mind. Time passed, though Wang Lin could not tell how long, until once again, that mysterious power appeared on the platform. Yao Xixue suddenly opened her eyes. Her pupils glowed with brilliant golden light as she gazed into the void, her expression calm. The mysterious power appeared instantly, swirling around Wang Lin, spinning continuously. At this moment, Wang Lin found himself in an extraordinary state of mind, as if in a dream. He felt as though he were in an illusionary world, surrounded by figures passing by in a blur. He couldn't clearly see anything, yet at the same time, it seemed as though he could see everything. This contradictory sensation made him uneasy. Moreover, a whisper, indistinguishable in gender, reached his ears, as if someone were trying to tell him something. But when he focused intently, he realized there was nothing to hear. This sensation lasted for what felt like an eternity, so long that Wang Lin lost track of time. The whispers grew louder, and the figures before him began to take shape. Just when everything seemed on the verge of becoming clear, everything before him and around him faded away, like a mirage, vanishing in an instant. Seizing the fleeting moment before everything disappeared, Wang Lin's gaze sharpened, and the only remaining imprint of the slaughter life seal on his forehead immediately converged in his ears. "I am Qing Lin." A clear voice echoed in his ears for just a moment, before it disappeared, vanishing along with everything else. Wang Lin seized this opportunity. If he had activated the seal of life earlier, he would not have heard this voice. Only in that fleeting instant, when everything began to clarify but vanished, could he use the seal of life to achieve this. He chose not to look, but to focus on the sound, for sound could convey more genuine information than sight, where subjective thoughts often clouded one's perception. The moment everything faded away, Wang Lin seemed to awaken from a deep dream. He opened his eyes, and his pupils flashed with intense golden light. The golden light lasted for 6 breaths before dissipating. At the same time, golden runes appeared in his eyes, composed of 6 strokes that looked extremely intricate. Yao Xixue's expression darkened. She hadn't expected that Wang Lin, in his comprehension, would obtain a 6-stroke golden talisman imprint. At this moment, she couldn't help but snort coldly in her heart. As Wang Lin opened his eyes, he immediately noticed that when he looked at Yao Xixue, although golden runes still glowed in her eyes, the previously overwhelming aura of authority had vanished. He even felt, for some reason, an impulse to look down upon her in his mind. This gaze from Wang Lin made Yao Xixue extremely uncomfortable. Instinctively, she avoided his eyes and coldly said, "Once you've obtained the golden talisman, you may embark on the path of the honorable dragon. Let's go." With that, she stepped forward, walking on the revered dragon path, and swiftly moved ahead. Without even realizing it herself, the golden talisman in her eyes dimmed faintly the moment it met Wang Lin's gaze, like fireflies encountering the bright moon. Though both emitted light, the comparison made the former appear insignificant. Wang Lin placed his hand before his eyes. As he looked down at his palm, a clear projection of a rune appeared in his hand. What exactly is this golden rune? Wang Lin mused silently. He took a step forward and stepped onto the path of the revered dragon, walking slowly ahead. Beneath the revered dragon path stretched an endless starry abyss. While the exact danger of falling remained unclear, just the sensation within his mind was enough to send a shiver down anyone's spine. The revered dragon path swayed gently. For an ordinary person, it would likely cause terror, but for cultivators, such motion had no impact whatsoever. The two moved swiftly, one after the other, heading down the path without pause. The path seemed endless. After 3 days, they had not stopped for even a moment, yet the road ahead kept extending. Yao Xixue's expression remained unchanged. Having traveled this path many times, she knew well that they had only covered about 1/3 of the journey. Several days later, another massive platform appeared ahead on the path of the revered dragon. At the center of this platform stood a figure. This figure was a stone statue, about 30 feet tall, standing at the very center of the platform. The statue had a human form, but its ears and arms were exceptionally large. Stopping on the revered dragon path, Yao Xixue turned to look at Wang Lin, who was not far behind, and said, "This is the first layer seal. We each need to break 1 layer. I will break the first layer, and you will break the second." "Understood." Wang Lin responded calmly and evenly. Yao Xixue did not waste any more words. She leapt forward like a streak of lightning, reaching the platform in a flash. As she ascended, a golden light automatically flashed from her eyes. This golden light contained the golden talisman runes, which now fell upon the stone statue, as Yao Xixue's gaze landed on it. The statue shook and emitted a burst of white mist. Then, its eyes suddenly opened, releasing a ruthless light. It took a step forward, and with a loud bang, the entire platform trembled. A thick killing intent immediately spread from the statue's step. Suspended in midair, Yao Xixue had dealt with this statue several times before, and now she was as calm as ever. She reached into her storage pouch and took out a jade talisman. This talisman was blood red, unlike any ordinary jade talisman. "Seal." With a single word, Yao Xixue threw the jade talisman into the air. It shattered with a loud bang, turning into a rich blood-colored light that instantly enveloped the statue. Under the blood light, the statue seemed to be cloaked in a blood robe, firmly bound in place. No matter how it struggled, it could not break free from the seal of the blood robe. Yao Xixue's graceful form lightly landed on the ground. She glanced back at Wang Lin before turning and walking toward the other end of the platform, where another revered dragon path appeared. Wang Lin's pupils constricted. The statue's cultivation was not weaker than that of a cultivator in the early infant metamorphosis stage. Though it lacked flexibility, its destructive power with a single step was immense. If it had used its divine arts or been allowed to unleash its full power, it would be difficult to handle. However, at this moment, it was easily sealed by Yao Xixue. This scene gave Wang Lin a completely new understanding of her. That blood-red jade talisman must have been forged by her father, the Blood Ancestor. No wonder it holds such power. Wang Lin thought to himself, keeping his emotions hidden. He leaped onto the platform and passed by the statue, which was sealed in the blood robe. From the corner of his eye, he noticed a brief flash of golden radiance inside the statue, vanishing in an instant. Wang Lin didn't reveal any clues on his face. His pace remained steady. When he reached the other end of the platform and stepped onto the revered dragon path again, he casually glanced back. The moment he turned his head, the seal of life on his brow immediately converged in his eyes. With a single glance, he pierced through the blood robe and saw the flashing runes on the statue. This rune only had a single stroke, yet it was remarkably clear,